Stay faithful to the stories in your head. Paula Hawkins. Hi, my name is Austin and welcome back to my channel. Today is day number 6 of Camp NaNoWriMo, the April 2020 Camp NaNoWriMo, and you should get your words in. Today is a good day to get your words in. Today's goal, if you are trying to get to 50,000 words before May, is 10,000 words. Right now, I am still behind, but I'm catching up, so that is very exciting. I have had, I feel like, a productive day, and I'm excited to keep having a productive day. Hopefully later. I'm not 100% sure because I do have homework. I would much rather write, but homework is important. I don't know which is more important. I'm sure homework is, but oh well. So far today, I have written over 2,500 words. So I'm catching up. I am at about 8,500 words. I still need 1,500 more to get back on track. Maybe I'll be able to get them in today, but first I just want to talk about some of the progress that I've made because I'm pretty excited about it. So I don't know about you, but with me, sometimes I just have an epiphany moment where my story comes to me, and this morning I had one of those epiphany moments. It was one of those moments where I knew where I wanted my series to end finally. I'd had a few different ideas running through my brain throughout the past 2-ish years, but today I think this will probably change, but I think I know where I want it to go, so that is exciting. In addition to that, I wrote a chapter or 2 more in my outline. I am almost getting to the end of my outline, and I am really excited because once I finish that, I will finally start writing my first draft of book 1. I feel ready to tell the story to the world, even though my first draft won't be good. It will be awful. No one will ever read it except me. Real quick, I recommend listening to atmospheric music while you write. I did this for the first time ever today, and I don't know why it took me so long. It put me in such the spirits to write. I feel like I wrote better. I did a lot of exciting work on my story, and so I'd recommend it. Find some ambient music on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Music. I would also recommend finding a specific genre. So if you're writing fantasy, like I am, look up fantasy writing music on Spotify, for example. And I just played the first one, and it really helped me write, and it felt fun. I think you should use it because you need to get your words in. Today, you need to get your words in. You will never regret getting more words in, trust me. And so I want you to go put on some music and write some words. And if you've already written your words and are really far ahead, like you probably are because you're probably better than me, then congratulations, you rock and I stink. I'm really excited for you and your story. You are doing awesome work and you deserve a break now. So if you're using some time watching this video, thank you. I'd love it if you would like, comment, and subscribe. That would mean the world to me. Or add me as a buddy on NaNoWriMo. My username is KingRandom11. Yesterday's video, I talked about losing motivation, and one of the things that I thought about while I was trying to go to sleep last night but couldn't was that tropes, which is the title of today's video, is something that really can sometimes push people, including myself, to lose motivation. So I just wanted to ask you guys, what are your thoughts on tropes? So if you don't know what tropes are, they are very common literary devices in your specific genre that have been overused over the past few decades. In young adults, some of these include a basic forced romance, dead parents, the chosen one, and
I'm the main character. I'm super gorgeous, but I think I'm ugly.
So those are some examples of tropes, and I think tropes are like, it's very popular to hate tropes. And so sometimes if you have a trope in your story, you might feel discouraged and feel like, oh, I shouldn't even write this book because it has a trope in it. And I'm here to disagree, because I don't think all tropes are bad. I still enjoy tropes, and I've been reading them for a long time. My book has not many tropes because I do think it's a good idea to limit them if you can. But like my quote said from earlier, stay faithful to that story in your head. If your story has a trope and you don't, and it is necessary to your story, you can't change that, I would recommend staying with it. There are people who love your specific trope you're working on. If you love it, there are going to be tons of other people who love it too. So don't feel discouraged if you have a trope in your story. There are going to be people who will still read it and still enjoy your story. I will probably be one of them. But if you find yourself having tropes in your story, but they aren't necessarily necessary for your work, I think that it can be useful to try and just rework a little bit to get rid of that trope, because they can turn some people off. So if it's not necessary to your story, you can still stay faithful to your story but change some of the tropes. I'd recommend doing that. For example, do the parents need to be dead? If they do, then keep it. Or if they don't, maybe have them in the story. They could play a role somehow. They could be just alive. The second trope is the main character thinks she's really pretty, or doesn't think she's really pretty, but she actually is. If you want a gorgeous main character, you could have them just not actively think of themselves as ugly. They could just be okay with how they look. It could just not be a part of the story. You could explain how they're beautiful and explain how the actions of other people would indicate that these characters are, or this character is beautiful. This next trope is one that I really get scared about, and it is forced romance. I don't know why, but I'm always nervous that people are going to think my romances are forced. I don't know why I fear this. I feel like I take good steps to not have a forced romance, but it still is something that scares me. Forced romances usually come about when it's like love at first sight, or you're just forcing a romance to have a romance clearly, and the characters don't have any sort of build-up or tension, or they're just sort of put together because, oh, books should have a romance, so here is my romance, check. What I do in my book, which I'm not qualified for any of this advice, but I thought I'd still give it. What I do in my book is build up the character more. I make the character important to the story besides just a romantic aspect to the character or the love interest. So let's say we have K and S, and K meets S and S meets K, and boom, they're in love. I don't think that's always the best. I think for your book, you should probably play with it a little bit and make it not happen, because that is something that turns off a lot of readers. I'm sure you've heard about it. If not, oh well. In my opinion, it's probably better to have, here's K, here's S. K is important to the story, S is important to the story. They get slowly closer and closer together as the story goes on, and then eventually, boom, they are romantic with each other, and it took a little bit of time, and your readers will like it. The final trope I have is one that my book does have somewhat. There's a little bit of a twist on it, but it's in there, and it's the chosen one trope. And so I personally have always loved this trope. I don't know why. Even in its most basic form, I love it. In my story, I tried to give it a bit of a twist that continues throughout the book. That's pretty much my only advice for if you have the chosen one trope in your book. Maybe look at it from a bit of a different angle or put a new lens on it. But if not, the chosen one trope, I know is one that a lot of people love, including myself, and even if you don't put any new lens on it, I mean, I would still read it. It is your story, and if you love it, others will. So those were just a couple of tropes and stuff that I wanted to give my take on. Thank you so much for watching this video. I had a fun time filming it. I hope you liked watching it. Tomorrow, I will be back for lucky day 7 of Camp NaNoWriMo, and I'm excited to see you. I hope you'll come back and see me because I'll miss you. Have a great night. Bye.